There's a specific kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with your body. You slept, you ate, you rested, and you are still completely drained because your mind never actually stopped. You were solving problems in your sleep that don't even exist yet. You rehearsed an argument you'll never actually have. You replayed a 3-second interaction from 2 weeks ago 15 times, trying to figure out if it meant something. And here's what nobody warned you about. The smarter you are, the worse this gets. Not as a metaphor, not as a self-help cliché, as a documented, peer-reviewed neurological fact. What you've been living with has a name, and the name is the curse of the brilliant mind. I'm going to show you exactly why this is happening inside your brain right now. The specific network that is responsible for it, the 3 cognitive traps it creates that no amount of willpower can escape, and the one thing you can actually do about it that isn't on any productivity blog. Stay with me, because the 3rd trap is the one that will hit you hardest, and it's the one that gets talked about the least. We live in a culture that treats intelligence like a golden ticket. The assumption is that smarter people have it easier. They figure things out faster. They make better decisions. They suffer less. And on paper, in narrow, measurable ways, that's partially true. High IQ individuals do outperform the average on academic benchmarks, structured problem solving, and certain professional metrics. But here's what that same research reveals when you keep reading past the headline. There is a consistent, well-documented correlation across multiple independent studies from multiple institutions over multiple decades between high cognitive ability and significantly elevated rates of anxiety, depression, existential dread, and a specific mental pattern called rumination. And these don't appear in spite of high intelligence. They appear because of it. A 2015 study in the journal Psychology, Research and Behavior Management found that higher verbal intelligence was directly and causally linked to increased anxiety. The researchers weren't surprised. They'd seen the pattern before. But the finding remained largely buried because it doesn't fit the story we tell about smart people. If you've ever found yourself at 2 a.m. turning a single conversation over in your head, analyzing what you said, what they meant, what you should have said, what that pause in their voice might have meant, you know exactly what this feels like. And if you've ever felt vaguely ashamed of it, like something that intelligent must be controllable, I need you to hear this clearly. That is not a character flaw. That is not weakness. That is your brain operating precisely as it was built to. And the brutal irony is that it was never designed to make you happy. It was designed to make you useful. Those are not the same thing. To understand why this is happening, you need to know about one specific system in your brain called the default mode network, the DMN. The DMN is the neural system that activates when you are not focused on a specific task. When your brain isn't doing something concrete, no meeting, no deadline, no screen, the DMN switches on. For most people, it handles mild social reflection, light daydreaming, basic mental housekeeping, normal, mostly harmless. But for people with higher general intelligence, it does something different. fMRI research has shown that higher IQ brains have greater functional connectivity within the DMN, meaning their brain's supposed resting state is not actually resting. It's running, it's generating, extrapolating, stress testing every possible outcome of every decision you've made in the last 6 months, every relationship dynamic you're uncertain about, every project that isn't finished. This is the same cognitive engine that makes you exceptional at complex problem solving. At 2 a.m. pointed inward, with nothing external to anchor it, it becomes a weapon aimed directly at you, and you cannot think your way out of it, because thinking is the weapon. Psychologists call the sustained version of this pattern rumination. And unlike ordinary worry, rumination is recursive. It doesn't move toward a solution. It circles. You're not problem solving. you're re-experiencing. Research from Yale's Mind and Development Lab links chronic rumination directly to elevated risk of depression and generalized anxiety. Not as a side effect, as a predictable downstream output of how certain kinds of brains process the world. This is the curse of the brilliant mind. And it has 3 specific mechanisms. 3 traps that you need to understand separately, because each one requires a different response. Let's go through them. High-intelligence brains are extraordinarily efficient at identifying patterns. That's not a metaphor. Pattern recognition is one of the core competencies that IQ tests actually measure. But pattern recognition doesn't switch off when it encounters human behavior. So where an average brain might hear a slightly clipped response from a colleague and let it go, the high IQ brain catalogs it, cross-references it against 6 previous interactions, identifies a statistical pattern, generates 3 possible explanations, assigns probability to each one, and begins running consequent projections. All of this, involuntarily, in the background, in real time. This isn't insight. This is catastrophizing infrastructure, running at full speed on low-stakes input, and it never asks your permission to start. Intelligent people don't just experience events. They demand that events mean something. They contextualize. They philosophize. They search for the larger pattern connecting individual moments into a coherent framework. In most domains, writing, science, strategy, this is a profound superpower. In personal suffering, it becomes a trap. Because when your mind refuses to accept that something painful might simply be random, that loss might carry no deeper purpose, that failure might have no teachable lesson, it will manufacture meaning instead. And the meanings a distressed mind manufactures are almost never neutral. They're indicting. They're about you. They're permanent. And they feel like truth because your brain built them with the same machinery it uses to build real insight. That's the trap. The tool works. It just points at the wrong thing. This is the one that blindsides people the most, and the one that was promised earlier. High cognitive intelligence and high emotional intelligence are not the same thing. They don't automatically develop together. They're not even strongly correlated. Many very high IQ people have processing speeds, abstraction capacity, and working memory that operate years, sometimes decades, ahead of their emotional regulation skills. Which means this: they can see, with perfect analytical clarity, exactly what is happening to them emotionally. They can name it, explain it, trace its origin, predict its trajectory, and they are completely unable to do anything about it. They are watching themselves suffer from the outside with a front row seat and zero control. That is a specific kind of hell that almost no one names correctly. And most high intelligence people spend years convinced it means something is wrong with them, when what it actually means is that 2 very different developmental tracks got out of sync. Here's what makes this especially hard to carry. We don't talk about it, because the cultural story about intelligence insists that smart people should be fine. They should be grateful. They should be able to think their way out of anything, including this. So what happens? High intelligence people who are quietly struggling learn to perform stability with extraordinary precision. They produce the right outputs. They maintain the conversation. They close the deal, write the report, show up at the meeting, and then go home to a mind that hasn't stopped running the catastrophe engine since 6 a.m. This is not weakness. It's a tax on a specific kind of cognitive architecture, one that was optimized for performance, not for peace. If this is you, if you've spent years with a life that looks completely functional from the outside and feels like static on the inside, I want to be direct with you. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive, too intense, or too much. You are navigating a neurological condition that most self-help frameworks weren't built for, and that most people around you genuinely don't have the wiring to understand. That's an incredibly isolating thing to live with. And it makes complete sense that you haven't been able to think your way out of it. Because thinking isn't the problem. Thinking is what you have. What you need is something different. Earlier, I told you there was a specific cognitive trap no amount of willpower can escape. I've made good on that. There are 3 of them, and you've just heard all 3. But here's the piece I haven't said yet, and it's the most important one. The goal is not to eliminate the mechanism. You cannot surgically remove your pattern recognition. You cannot turn off your meaning-making drive. You would not want to, because those are the exact same tools that make you exceptional when they're pointed at the right problems. The goal, the only goal that's actually achievable, is to develop what researchers call metacognitive awareness, the capacity to observe your own mental processes without being consumed by them, to watch the loop run and choose not to climb inside it. What that actually looks like in practice for this specific kind of brain is 3 things, and only one of them involves sitting still. First, scheduled containment windows. Not suppression, containment. You give the rumination engine a designated 15-minute window once a day where it gets to run. You write down every recursive thought. You close the notebook. Outside that window, when the loop starts, you say, literally, out loud, if needed, not now. You get your time at 8 p.m. Research on worry postponement shows this interrupts the DMN's authority over unscheduled moments more effectively than mindfulness, alone for high IQ individuals, because it respects the brain's need to process rather than fighting it. Second, embodied pattern interrupts. Exercise, yes, but specifically the kind that requires real-time motor problem solving. Martial arts, tennis, rock climbing, a sport with an unpredictable opponent. These force your brain's pattern recognition engine to engage with something external and immediate, physically preventing it from running internal loops. It's not a metaphor, it's a competing demand on the same neural resource. Third, and this one matters, if the gap between your insight and your emotional regulation is wide, if you can see exactly what's happening and still can't change it, that gap usually doesn't close on its own. It closes with the right therapeutic framework, specifically approaches built for high cognitive individuals, CBT with a metacognitive focus, or ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, which was designed precisely for the problem of knowing what to do and being unable to make yourself do it. Knowing that early is the best use of your intelligence, not spending another decade trying to think your way out of the water you're drowning in. The curse of the brilliant mind isn't that it works too well, it's that it never learned when to stop. And the real measure of intelligence, the kind that actually matters for a life you can live in, isn't processing speed. It isn't abstraction. It's knowing which thoughts deserve your energy. And having the discipline built slowly, without self-judgment, to let the rest run in the background, without giving them the wheel. That's harder than any exam. It takes most people decades, but it starts with knowing what you're dealing with, which is exactly what you now do. If this landed, I want to ask you something specific. Not drop a comment below. That's too easy and too vague for this audience. What is the one thought your brain refuses to let go of right now? The loop that starts back up the moment you stop being busy. One sentence. Write it below. Because the research on expressive writing shows that the act of naming a recursive thought, putting it in specific language, reduces its neurological grip. You're not just commenting, you're doing something useful for your own brain. I'll be reading every one. And if this resonated, the next video goes deeper into the third trap, the emotional intelligence gap. Specifically, why high IQ people often form the most intense bonds and experience the most devastating losses, and what the attachment research says about why. It's queued up. I'll see you there.